Hi friends, it's Deanna Willison from Our Blooming Catholic Life, and I'm here to talk to you about, of course, Lent. So one of the popular memes that has been going around for a couple of years, and it's advice from a lot of people that instead of giving up food, why don't you give up complaining? Why don't you give up being selfish? It's like, that's what it comes down to. Or if you're barely surviving, well, do all these things that are kind to yourself, and maybe just say one Hail Mary a day. Just, if you can get that one prayer out, and it's like 5,000 other things that you do that are self-care. Here's my problem with all of that. It's Lent. We're supposed to be turning to God. If I could give up grumbling on my own, I would do it. The Grumble-free year. If I could do it on my own, if I could do it just by reading this book, I'd do it. What the heck? If I could give up eating cookies, if I could find a way, if I could really wanted to give all my money to the poor, what? How am I gonna live? If I could do all the great things on my own, yeah, I'd be doing them. And all those wonderful self-care things, those are wonderful, but don't do them for Lent, do them for you. But don't just say one Hail Mary a day. I think that's pretty bad advice. And here's why. Because we can't do it on our own. If you're barely keeping your head above water, stop and pray. Unless you're scrupulous or really seriously OCD, I would focus on the prayer, and the other things will come. I would focus on prayer and fasting first, and then on the other things. That's unless you have a problem with scrupulosity or you are OCD. Those are separate issues. And so for you, I would go to a spiritual director and get some, possibly even a spiritual director that's also a counselor, and get some direction from them as to what would help you, what would be a safe way for you to grow in the Lord. I don't want you, it's a dangerous time of year for people with those conditions to go hardcore. And so I got these 3 books. They all appealed to me for Lent. Now, I'm already doing other things. Just started our Consecration to St. Joseph book. I'm doing 2 classes with the Inner Room School of Spirituality. And of course, I've got my Franciscan formation in all the books I read for all of you. So why did I pick these up anyway? Well, for one, my husband asked me if I wanted to go to a bookstore, and I couldn't resist. And they actually didn't have the books that I was looking for to read for us, for me and you. I was going to read them for me and review them for you. But these books really jumped out at me. The Grumble-free Year. I think that this is really practical advice. And so what I liked about it, let's see. For one thing, it's flat paper. We had a book recently that had really shiny pages that were kind of hard to read and really small print. It's not. It doesn't have the crazy big margins and then the tiny print. This is all super easy to read. And it's interesting. So it's divided into different parts. The introduction is gearing up. Gearing up. The challenge begins, and winding down. And what I liked about this is a challenge, but I feel like it has some prayer in it. This is, let me read from the back. The Goyer home, made up of 2 parents, 8 kids, 1 grandmother with dementia, is never without noise, mess, and often complaining. And it's not just the kids grumbling. Adopting 7 kids in less than 6 years has been an adjustment, but it's time to move out of survival mode and into growth mode. And that sounds like 2020, right? We were in survival mode. Let's get out of that. Let's get into growth. Let's work on that. So the family decides to tackle an impossible grumble-free year. And I've talked about this for a while. Grumbling is one of my biggest faults, and so I'm working on that. So it's interesting. It says, follow them as they go complaint-free and discover what it looks like to develop hearts of gratitude. They share their plans, successes, failures, and all the lessons learned along the way, offering not only a front row seat to the action, but also real life steps for uncovering hearts that are truly thankful. She's a busy mom of 10, doting grandma and wife. best-selling and award-winning book author, 70 books, and currently leads a teen MOPS group in Little Rock, Arkansas, which MOPS I always thought was mothers of preschoolers. So a teen MOPS group. Woo, that's a great ministry. That's a really great support system, building that support system for teen moms. That's a great idea. So I wanted to look at it. Let's see. So it's got, the chapters are nice and easy to find. The font is super easy to read. It's I think it's normal Times New Roman. It's just the chapters that are in that funny little font. When it's a new section, you see she uses this little symbol here for a new section. So easy to see the new section if you're just reading a bit a day. And then reflection questions at the end of every chapter and your turn. So the first one was about perfectly imperfect. Reflection questions are like, how was grumbling handled during your growing up years? Oh, that is a good reflection because that really sets the tone for how you deal with it. I know a lot of my bad habits come from my childhood, and either because they were strictly forbidden and I'm still kind of rebelling and figuring out my way, or maybe they were permitted and they shouldn't have been, and so I've gone the other way. So you really need to examine it so you can find a middle ground. So yeah, what grumbling habits did you carry into adulthood? How has grumbling, outward or inward, impacted your life? What do you think would be harder, trying to tackle your own grumbling or attempting to help others do the same? And then when it says your turn, it kind of goes into those questions to help you reflect on them. And that's something I find truly valuable. Sometimes you just don't connect with a question. So she goes a little bit more deeply into those questions. And it's just, you can see it's like, 3 paragraphs more deeply. Okay, I'll give you the example. So take a few minutes and really consider your growing up years. How did your family deal with disappointments? Did they communicate well? Did they attempt to focus on speaking with thankfulness and gratitude even during challenging circumstances? Sorry, son, I know we did not. Maybe like me, you only wish that was the case. Find a piece of paper and jot down how your family acted with anger or rage, with passive disapproval and grumbling. Next, consider what habits you brought into your current home, both for the good and the bad. If possible, ask your spouse to do the same. You could also kind of switch and say, husband, what do you think of me? And that's just, and it's not to be mean or hurt your feelings because you may be in a raw place right then, but it's good to know what others think of that. And then for most of this book, she's going to share on working towards not grumbling out loud, but it's also not good to hold our grumbling inside either. Good communication is sharing what's really going on inside our hearts. It's not okay to hold in all our frustrations and disappointments for the sake of not grumbling. And it really is telling you to open up to others. If sharing is really going on, if sharing what's really going on in your heart with your family is something you need to work on, then start with that first. Ask God to help you share truth with others even when it's hard. Also learn to listen to as others do the same. Truly succeeding at this challenge means communicating well with our families and having the gratitude we hold deep inside make its way to our lips time and time again. And so she reminds you can't do this alone. You need to turn to God. And possibly if you're doing this as a family, this book, setting aside that prayer, maybe start that reflection time or reading a little chapter with prayer. And when you do your journal, maybe have a little prayer that you can hand out that everybody can have in their journal. Like if you give people a journal, have a great little prayer for opening it right in there that's age appropriate for every kid so that when they go to do it, even if it's drawing pictures for them, it's age appropriate one that they can pray to turn their heart to God as they work on this. Not grumbling is super scriptural. So that's where that came in. World of Wonders. I'm going to lead with that then. This, I don't think is a Christian book at all. It is the Barnes & Noble Book of the Year, Book of the Month. I don't know. I will tell you this was a little pricier. It is hardback. These pictures drew me in. I admit that. But when I was thinking about not grumbling, sometimes it helps. You're working on gratitude at the same time. And so the amazing creation of God, as a Franciscan, that's something I connect with. And I really thought that would be something that would help me. Yeah. Let's see here. An axolotl can help you smile as an adult, even if someone on your tenure committee puts his palms together as if in prayer every time he sees you off campus and does a quick short bow and calls out Namaste, even though you've told him several times already that you actually attend a Methodist church. But it's if he doesn't hear you, or he does and he doesn't care, chuckling to himself as he shuffles across the icy parking lot, hands jammed into his pockets. Wide and thin, I don't know how to say this. An axolotl's smile runs from one end of the amphibian's face to the other, curving at each end ever so gently upward. And here's his little picture. So it's even, maybe it is. Maybe this book is more religious than I realized. I honestly didn't read it, but even just looking at these pictures made me super happy. And I'll be honest, this picture is one of the reasons I got the book. So I just thought that was super joyful. This is funny. He's also known as the Mexican walking fish, but he isn't a fish. This is so funny. It seems to be a series of little essays and reflections. Oh, the next one's on a vampire squid. Legit vampire squid. Ooh, I was distracted. But talks about if the squid feels threatened or wants to disappear, perhaps no other creature in the ocean knows how to convey that with a more dazzling yet effective show. When the vampire squid pulse swims away, each of its arm tips glow and wave in different directions, confusing for any predator. How many of us have done that when you've tried to get away from a sticky situation, right? I feel like I've done that before and then tried to disappear. To make an even more speedy getaway, he uses jet propulsion by flapping his fins down towards its mantle and simultaneously blasting a stream of water from its siphon. All of its arms in one direction. In the next stroke, squid raises all of its arms over his head in what's called a pineapple posture. The underside of these arms is lined with tiny tooth-like structures called cirri, giving an appearance of fangs ready to bite down on anything that wants to chase it for a snack. Yeah, I've met people that are like that. Not only do they try and distract you as they get away, but if that doesn't work, they're going to scare you. Self-sabotaging, right? And yeah, I wished I was a vampire squid the most when I was a new girl in high school. These are really, really interesting reflections. Oh my goodness. I do like these little stories. It kind of, just reading these now, it makes me feel like, hey, I'm not alone. Sometimes we do feel like these. I feel like this book, even if she is Methodist, I don't know, that could have just been one thing she said in the book, is making me feel like we often talk about how God reveals himself through nature, and I think this book is going to be perfect for that. I'm genuinely excited. I can't say I've read the whole book or anything. I didn't even give you the author's name. I'm sorry. It looks like it's Amy, and I won't even try that. It does say World of Wonders in Praise of Fireflies, Whale Sharks, and Other Astonishments. It's a Milkweed edition. I think we've had another book by Milkweed that I didn't like so much. This is a 2020 book. I am pretty excited about this one. I can't guarantee I'm going to like everything, but at least right now I'm liking it, and this is something a little bit lighter. So you're doing some hard work in here. Here's some fun reading as well, and don't forget the prayer, right? Now, this is something, if you need something a little bit more guided, I saw this. This is kind of like a little magazine format, but also like a little journal, and I thought that was a different approach. Again, I don't know that this belongs to any kind of religion. Let's see. Contents. A note from the editor. Introductions. Choose to be kind. Kindness in an unkind world. Survival of the kindest. You get what you give. Pay it forward. Practice makes perfect. Kindness goals. And then a journal. Your journal. And reflecting on our year. So that's pretty easy to read right there. Let's see here. It's just 188 pages. It's a little bit smaller book. Like I said, it's a little magazine-ish. So you're going to have to really to get it open. The note from the editor. If there's one thing the world could always do with more of, it's kindness. With the help of the journal, you can start to make it happen. It goes without saying that we all like to believe we are kind people. We say our pleases and thank yous and ask our partner how their day has been, even if we're not 100% listening to the answer. But we asked, and that's what matters, right? Of course, good manners are important, and asking someone about their day is a kind thing to do. But how often do you find yourself performing these actions on autopilot? And when was the last time you really took a minute to appreciate a kind gesture rather than going through the motions, saying thank you and moving on with your day? Modern life can be busy and frantic, and we're all guilty of using that as an excuse to just get through each day on a path of least resistance. I remember that is where this started. I was kind of saying that about those Lenten practices. They were kind of like a little minimal, or acting like we could do them on our own, and we can't. It's not like we're being intentionally rude. It's not always easy to be kind. With bombardment of 24-hour news and social media, the world can seem a cruel and unforgiving place. And it's easy to resign yourself to thinking, what difference will this make? And I have some friends who have a project right now. You can find it on Facebook. Let me look it up super quick. And they are doing random acts of kindness. And how they're doing that, let me see here quick, is they actually have a group. If you want to do things on your own, go ahead and do it on your own, but she's also working together. It just has it here on her own. She raised money for, The Change Starts With Me. It's called The Change Starts With Me. This is what the page looks like. You can get these t-shirts. It says kindness is for everyone. And they're on Facebook again. The Change Starts With Me. And it's basically a place where you can share what you're doing to share kindness in your community. And one of the things they just did was they did a Valentine's Day drive. They got over 900 Valentines and $515 and delivered Valentines, and you have to see this. All these fun balloons and animals. Look at all this great stuff. And that all went to senior homes, to seniors and what is it, 5 different facilities, and they were working on a 6th. How amazing. And so that's just something she started with her daughters. You can find them on there. Share your ideas. That's the great thing about that. You can contribute to them, and they'll go out and do the random acts of kindness, or you can do your own and share what you're doing so that other people get ideas. And that's kind of where this book is. There are some things here about power of kindness, and it does remind you to be kind to yourself and add you some things. But it starts out like, what does kindness mean to you? So it's an interactive book. Of course, you don't have to write in here. You could write in your regular prayer journal, or your planner if you're using it as a prayer journal. What are reasons for rudeness? What excuses have you used? So we're looking at how we've been a little rude here. Survival of the kindness, the cost of kindness, better together, animal instincts. So this one has like little breakout boxes and stuff. It is kind of a little bit more magazine style or modern style. You get what you give. So it's got cute little pictures. It's not overwhelming. You can just read a little segment. Reduce everyday stress. Helping others doesn't make hard days harder. In fact, on our most stressful days, making the effort can make all the difference. Research shows that even the tiniest acts of kindness can help keep negative emotions at bay. Try something small, like holding open a door for someone. So you can see why I thought that these 2 books might go together. When you're struggling with this, doing this one as well, I just think they're going to pair, or you could do one right after the other. That's true. You could do this one, Lent, giving up grumbling, right? And then this one, starting your acts of kindness after Easter. You could do that too. And this does have self-care involved. This one has it built in. I'm not seeing anything about prayer, and that's okay, because you're already doing it with this book, and you're adding it. Say a rosary every day. You can add that in your own, but I don't want you to forget it, because I'd love to think that we are all super kind, but we all need help with it. And that was the point about it. And inspirational acts. Write down some things that you've seen other people do that inspired you. Like I just told you, my high school friend Corey starting that group. That was pretty inspiring. Are you ready for change? And it's showing you the layout of your journal coming up. So there's some pages there. There's a section of pages for you to figure out. You're going to set some goals, and then try and see how you work through them for a week or 2. And then there's more. Get involved. Make a note of some charities that you either currently support or would like to support. So some of it is just brainstorming, and then some of it is deep in reflection, and then there's some little tips and some small ideas. Here are your moments of kindness you had this week, okay? Yep, so it's a little weekly journal. And there's some great little quotes over here. So I hope that these inspire you. This book here, I think, could be done by people of any religion. So you're going to probably want to add prayers. And so go grab some. Like where they have their little quotes, you could add your own. You could get your own little sticky notes. Mother Teresa has, Saint Teresa of Calcutta, has lots of great gratitude quotes, and so you can grab them and put them in sticky notes throughout the book. These pages they're not as rough as this. You can kind of see that, but they're not that super slick. You may have to be a little choosy about what pens you use in it if you're writing in it, because it is a little bit slippery, and I'm not sure that gel pens, which is what I use, would be the best in it. But again, I may not write in this. I don't. It's so funny. If I'm reading a book, I write all through it. When it's a journaling book, no. They give me blanks for answers. I don't write in it. But if it's a book to read, I'm highlighting it 50 ways in 50 different colors. That's funny. And so I think this trio of books... and why can I do it with this? This is 2 pages a day. Father Donald Calloway promised, he said, if something went over into a 3rd page, I took it off. And you can look. So here's day 19. 1, 2. That's it. It doesn't even take up the whole 2 pages. So this is only 2 pages. This is a great way to start your day. And then maybe read this at lunch, right? You could read, I think these would be wonderful little bedtime stories, perhaps, just to even read between you and your spouse or to your teenagers. And I'm sure that there's bits in here. I haven't looked at it. I haven't seen anything that wouldn't work for teenagers, but maybe just read, littles. They might not get some of the reflections, so you might just want to read about the animals to the littles as you put them to bed and show them the picture. Because they're going to love them. Even a little bit about fireflies. They're just going to be enchanted by those parts of the stories. Yeah, I don't need to know if you want to read up that she grew up near scientists who worked with indigo buntings. Maybe you will. I don't know. Maybe share your encounters with nature. But this could be a great little bedtime story. So, what about this one? Maybe set aside some time in the afternoon. That's it. Treat yourself. Do some self-care in the afternoon, maybe around 2 o'clock. Eat lunch around noon. And you're doing your hardcore grumbling book. And then 2 o'clock, give yourself a little snack and reflect on your day. Because the bulk of your work day is over, so you could add in your moments of kindness and stuff. Again, these are pretty short because you're going to do it really once a week. So you might look at this on Sunday and then just make sure that 2 o'clock snack, you're jotting in what your moments of kindness for that day were, or any little appreciating others' kindness, whatever that little activity is, just check in with that at your 2 o'clock snack. So I'm going to say, read this on Sunday, the weekly lesson. And of course, it is Lent. Do not forget to turn to God. Go to adoration. If you're already saying the rosary daily, I say the Franciscan crown daily, so maybe I will add in a regular 5-decade rosary, or add in, I think the Divine Mercy Chaplet is very appropriate, especially if you're trying to get in a walk at some point during your day. That can be a great thing because that is about the length of time that I normally could take a walk. I think that's doable for most people. It's a little bit shorter. It's maybe 15 minutes more if you're adding reflections in, like the Stations of the Cross version. And if you're doing that, that's a beautiful thing to do on Fridays. You can add in Stations of the Cross, either getting to a church and doing Stations of the Cross, having them in your house or like on your fence post in your backyard. But the weather's been a little crazy, so there is a Divine Mercy Chaplet MP3. It was out by the Divine Mercy Fathers that included Stations of the Cross, and I mean fully dramatized Stations of the Cross. It is mind-blowing. It's amazing. So it's the Divine Mercy Chaplet with the Stations of the Cross, and the Divine Mercy Fathers have it. It should still be an audio download. So that would be a great thing for a Friday afternoon if you have a chance. If not, do it on Saturday. Nothing wrong with that. So God bless you, friends. This is my Lent. God bless you, friends. I hope some of these tips will inspire you and challenge you. absolutely do the self-care. Absolutely improve yourself. But absolutely remember, it's about turning to God. Ask this beautiful woman right here for help. That's why we do the rosary. We are asking her for her help. Hey, Mom, can you help me out? A lot of people on social media always are making that joke. I'm pretending to be an adult. I don't know how to adult. Well, hey, go ask your mom. She's got this. Ask her. Ask her. Ask her to help you out. Ask the sweet baby Jesus to help you out. If you have trouble approaching God the Father, ask sweet baby Jesus. He will help you. And up here is our patron saint of ecology, patron saintess, or co-patron. So that's Saint Kateri. If you always wondered what that painting was, if you kind of see, isn't it awesome? It's got the little horse. And up there we've got Saint Francis talking to the birds. Hey, there's great grandma and grandpa up there too. God bless you, friends. Yeah, hey, call on those ancestors. Say, great grandma, great grandpa, pray for me. Do it. Invoke them. Absolutely ask them to pray for you, to help you grow towards God this Lent. And may we have the best Easter ever. I am so looking forward to it. I think we're all looking forward to Easter, that moment. It's very poignant because we've had so many penances. We've had so many things taken away over the last 2 years. And Easter reminds us of that redemption, that everything is worth it. It's all the sacrifices are worth it. All the effort in growing closer to God and becoming a better person, a better reflection of Him. It's all worth it, friends. And Easter shows us that promise. God bless you, friends.